Hello and welcome back to FFS, for Finance's Sake, the podcast that proves tax doesn't have to be terrifying. I'm Rachael Harrison, Managing Director and founder of Chadwick Accountants, where we help businesses across Warwickshire and beyond make sense of HMRC. Today's episode is a cracker. Don't panic what your letter from HMRC really means. We're unpacking those dreaded brown envelopes from tax codes to VAT penalties and everything in between. And I've got the perfect guest with me, Face of Chadwick's, our onboarding ninja, and as I've recently discovered, axe-throwing extraordinaire, Kristel Parry. Welcome back to the pod.
Thank you, Rachael. The axe-throwing just makes me giggle. I am delighted to be back here, as I thoroughly enjoy these podcast episodes and trying to help people figure things out. Though I'm slightly disappointed we're not recording this in a forest with some throwing axes and tax returns on the target boards.
Could have HMRC on the target.
Yes, I would love that.
Well, next episode, Kristel, we'll bring the axes. But for now, let's help these good listeners not panic when the postman delivers that HMRC headache. So moving into section 1, let's start with a classic, the tax code change letter. You're minding your own business, enjoying a nice cup of tea.
Coffee.
Or coffee. When HMRC sends you a tax code that reads like your Wi-Fi password, 1275L1W1/W1, God knows. What does it mean?
I love it. I have personally had a few of these letters myself. So it is, you open it up, you're like, what the hell does this mean? But usually it means that HMRC thinks that your circumstances have changed. Maybe you've had a new job, which in most cases is, because if you change your PAYE job, your HMRC will get notified and then you will receive one of those letters. You'll have multiple incomes, or the company you work for has benefits in kind, or even a historic underpayment.
That's absolutely right, Kristel. That HMRC can be like up to 6 years behind and find an underpayment from years ago and then charge you now.
Problem with these is they're not always right.
Yes.
HMRC don't always get it right. So
actually, I see more of them wrong than I do right, to be fair.
So what I suggest is I always ring them up straight away, because if you underpay, you're going to end up with a massive tax bill in April. Obviously, if you're overpaying, great, you get a bit of a tax rebate, but
yeah, well, if you're underpaying, you might end up with a massive tax bill 6 years later.
Absolutely, yeah. But what it really means is that you might be on an emergency code. Again, you then might be overpaying, underpaying. But either way, you want to check it out straight away, not next April. I would always recommend calling them straight away. I know sometimes the hold lines are long, like
you can use the
hours.
web chat facility, though.
I personally don't like that.
Do you
I think
not?
It's awful.
I like it.
It's the same as their phone system. It's awful. Both rubbish.
Pick your poison, isn't it?
Exactly that. Pick your poison.
I like the online one because I can do my emails at the same time and wait for someone to respond.
I can do that while I listen to the horrible music.
Yeah, pick your poison with that one. So if you complete a self-assessment, don't panic too much. Any underpaid or overpaid tax just gets squared away when we do those. But if you don't do one, or you don't need to do one, you'll want to check your personal tax account online, or give HMRC a ring or web chat.
But be prepared to wait.
Yes, do. Get it fixed until before it snowballs into something bigger. I've had to untangle these knots for clients before, and trust me, prevention, it's much better than the cure.
Absolutely.
So moving on to section 2, VAT penalty points are being on HMRC's naughty list.
No one likes to be on the naughty list for that.
Not that one, anyway.
No, absolutely.
So right, VAT penalty points, think of it like Hogwarts house point system.
Oh, a bit of magic there.
Yeah, but instead of winning the house cup, you get a penalty.
Oh, what a shame. And it's not a fun penalty. This system, which HMRC has got going on, it adds a point every time you miss a VAT deadline. Once you hit the limit, 4 points, bam. For quarterly submissions, you're fined. And these fines, they keep adding up if you don't get on top of it straight away. What it really means is, even if you don't owe VAT or it's a nil return, you must file. Capital letters, must. Because they will still be putting penalty points on you if you don't file.
100% they will. If you've got a company and you've registered for VAT, even if you're not trading, they're expecting a return.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So even if you're not earning or you're owing VAT, please make sure you file that VAT return. You miss a deadline, you get a point. Hit the limit, get fined. HMRC is brutal, but just please file all the time when you've had the letter for the deadline.
Exactly. Host tip here. You must take this seriously. If you ignore the deadlines, HMRC can issue what's called a determination.
Oh.
Yeah, it's their guess at what you owe.
Oh, God.
Let me tell you, it's always more than it should be. It's never less. And then they'll start the collections process, and that includes up to sending debt collectors. So even if you owed nothing, they will go, oh, you're in this industry. Oh, the average in that industry is this. Therefore, you owe us this. And they will send those bailiffs round to you.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just admin, it's enforcement. Don't let it get to that point. Right, moving on to section 3, corporation tax return letters. They're just a friendly reminder. Let's clear the air on these. They aren't threats. They're basically HMRC saying, it's that time of year again.
Every year, limited companies have to file a corporation tax return. This is HMRC's way of nudging you to get on with it.
I don't know, I think it's their legal way of saying we told you to file.
Oh, well, yeah.
But you can take it as a friendly nudge if you wish to. Yes.
Not a friendly, just a nudge. What it really means that it is a routine notification, probably from their automated systems,
yes,
because obviously they are so big, so it's just a automated one. Yeah. You need to file your return annually. This is the most important bit. Even if your company made no profit, but if you are a dormant company, but if you're a registered limited company, you must, capital letters again, must file your return annually.
Exactly. And not trading is not an excuse. If you've registered for corporation tax, you need to file it, even if you're dormant.
Absolutely. Don't ignore it, but don't stress either. Like we said, it is just a reminder that your annual return is due, but just make sure your accountant's on it.
Great advice there, Kristel. So best advice, set a reminder a couple months before your company year end and get the info ready early. Filing on time keeps you off HMRC's radar, which is exactly where you want to be. So moving on to section 4, self-assessment notifications. Do you need to file? And finally, those infamous notice to file letters for self-assessment. Right,
yes, infamous. If you get one and you're going to file, don't worry. It is just them saying, by them, I mean HMRC obviously, that they expect a return this year.
But, and big but, back to our capital letters there, if you don't need to file anymore, don't just ignore it. You've got to tell HMRC and get it officially removed.
Agreed.
Otherwise, they'll expect that return and hit you with a fine for missing it. Even if you don't owe any tax, there's a standard £100 fine. And if you continue to ignore them, it can go up to £1,200.
Wow.
So, you want to avoid that.
Absolutely.
What it really means, HMRC expects a self-assessment return. If you've gone self-employed, earned extra income or had any capital gains, they want to know. But if you no longer meet the criteria, tell them now. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people assuming that HMRC will magically know that they don't need to file anymore. They won't. Have to call or write to get confirmation that you've been removed from the system. Otherwise, more fines, more penalties.
But make sure, again, I go back to that, make sure you get that confirmation in writing.
Yes, exactly. You can deregister with a quick online form as well as a phone call, but they will send a letter confirming that you've deregistered. Make sure you've got that.
Absolutely agree.
So look, HMRC letters, they aren't always the end of the world, but they do need action and understanding. Read them, understand them, and don't shove them in a drawer hoping they'll go away.
And if you don't understand, ask someone who does, i.e. us.
Exactly. If in doubt, ask. That's what we're here for. And if Kristel's not onboarding a new client or throwing axes, she's probably helping someone decode a HMRC mystery.
Exactly. I love a mystery. I love puzzles. And letters from HMRC, I like a weird puzzle. Best solved early, before the timer runs out and the fines start flying, because there is a timer ticking. Mm-hmm. Just make sure you open the letter, make a plan, And if you need help, you know where to find us.
Exactly. And until next time, finance's sake, check the numbers.